A very grand namaskar and namaste to all. Today we had a wonderful congregation online, via the Zoom, but we had a technology uplinking issues anyway, but we crossed that barrier. We have discussed via the REPA-NDIM Centre of Excellence in Renewable Energy. We have discussed today the CoP 29, which is started in Baku, Azerbaijan, just about yesterday, and today is the second day, and the challenges pertaining to that. The key element that we at the REPA, the Renewable Energy Promotion Association, and I am the President, Renewable Energy Promotion Association, Professor A.G. Iyer with you, and also the President of ENERTIA Foundation, the organization that has pushed sustainability in the area of energy. And the third domain is MARKENOMY Foundation that has been working in the area of creating a sustainable economy for a very long time, and especially a renewable economy. And our pitch, the new pitch, has been renewability beyond sustainability. And all these challenges come in front of the leadership at Baku. I was part of a Viksit India or a Vision India 2047 forum just 48 hours back, and Amit Goenka, who actually organized that, I was one of the main speakers which went into pre-Baku situation for the inputs related to that. In that meeting, I had a direct interface in the opening with the Honorable Minister of State for Power, New and Renewable Energy, Shripad Yesso Naik ji, and one of the issues that I raised when Kusum, the rural solar scheme, was talked about, which was part of a letter that we sent in 2016 to the Prime Minister's office. We had proposed something very different than what has come out. Our view today also is that a pro bono 1,25,000 crores worth of investment should be placed into building the pro bono capacities across the rural dimension. And what do we need? We need just about 10 acres of land in each village panchayat with an SPV or a special purpose vehicle, where the panchayat becomes a partner even within an 80-20 principle, that panchayat is keeping a 20% just to get revenue, and the land related issues are sorted out. Then for every 10 acre we can deliver 2 megawatt per village of India, and what happens is that 640,000 villages can deliver 120 megawatt, of which only 25 megawatt will go off-grid in a microgrid situation, and the rest can always be integrated into the national grid. So this is a massive potential. This tweaker is a massive potential. But what happened is the policy has been going, one step after the other. Few steps experimentally has been seen, but it started with the simple flaw that only 33% of the total 1 lakh crore or plus money that is to be needed is being given by the center. The rest is being talked about to be given by brought by the state discom, which all discoms are in some kind of financial duress, so it's not possible to happen, because while unbundling was a great idea, but what we did is we took care of the transmission entity, the generation entity who make profits. They are in a good zone, but then all the losses have been saddled onto the discom. So this model again is like you went into circles and repeated the same blunder. So discoms cannot invest. Now the third part, another 30% was to be coming from financial institutions. They are still not geared up to an idea of rural commerce, because the whole idea is only oriented towards the large enterprise and the corporates, and that's the reason this kind of funding is not available. And this has been the challenge for development of decentralized and distributed power in the country, which is large potential, provided its animal spirit is unleashed. And it cannot be held to ransom to just a limited organization like only one SECI. So SECI should rather convert it into Rural Electrification Corporation of India. Now what is happening to the leadership at Baku? Each has committed a timeline. Like India has committed a timeline of 2070. China then made its 2060 for net zero. And then the third commitment came from none other than America, which said, okay, 2050 we agree. But you see all the three powers which were called the major polluters in the SR15 report, where I do not agree on the India position, because India was never a major polluter. India's only problem was that to feed its 1.5 billion population, it had to make a certain capacity of baseload power plant available. And that capacity index will continue to be at minimum level of 50% of all capacities that we need. So if this is the situation, I think to even transform for the next 10 years, India may still depend on some part of thermal coal power, and it may be 10 or 20 years that India will do. And this picture must be understood very clearly. What's happened? China has almost 1200 gigawatt of thermal coal power. America has roughly 400 gigawatt. India has 200 gigawatt. Where from we are not even in a position. America has a population of just 330 million, which is 33 crores. India has a population of 1.5 billion, which is equal to China. Imagine what is the per capita access to electricity. It's just not comparable. China is getting 5 times more access. So that means they are polluting the planet also 5 times, because they have 1200 gigawatt, which is 6 times of our 200 gigawatt. If you see all these things, then India's position becomes a very tough position. But flip side of that argument is, we are already close to achieving going at least in installed capacity 50%. By virtue of generation, we may be less than 30%, because solar's field efficiency is only 20%, and that of wind is also 25%. So if you add, our 92 gigawatt of solar right now looks like only 18 to 20 gigawatt on the grid in terms of exportable energy. And the same happens with our wind, which comes to even lower at about 11 gigawatt. So at the end of the day, the hero of all this is the 47 gigawatt of hydropower that we have, which actually ends up giving more than 35 gigawatt onto the grid, and then is the only peak storage or peak shoving power that we have, because 20 gigawatt of India's gas power plants of the total 25 gigawatt are lying idle or starving for want of gas, which fundamentally goes to manufacturing of fertilizers. So we have too many problems at hand to handle in this scenario, because we can discuss then the gas as a transition fuel will need the availability, and pricing factor comes into picture, and that gets into again the kind of a loop where we will not come out. So the best solutions that came out from us was the pump storage, which we released on 8th August with Dr. Ramana Reddy. So in this meeting we had today, we had 5 stalwarts, top stalwarts: R.N. Khazanchi, who is Dhruv Tukse, and which is the highest civilian honor of Bhutan. And he is also the presidential awardee Pravasi Bharatiya, and was former MD of the Puna Sanchu hydro project in Bhutan. The 2 hydro projects that are still, one is coming to the grid, while the other is still waiting to happen. Yeah, but on the other side, he was also the constructor of Tala. So basically, what Bhutan is selling to India, Khazanchi Saab almost brings that 1000 megawatt of Tala project, and we can say that since now Puna Sanchu 2 will come, another 1000 will come. So almost out of the 3000 megawatt that will be coming from Bhutan to India, almost 2000 goes to what Khazanchi Saab had put his weight on, worked on it. A great man. Then we had my dear friend Om Fubzam, who is the chairman of the RK group, and she's also a consul for the Sweden, so consul general for Sweden, sitting in Bhutan. So she's an amazing lady, an amazing businesswoman, and she is into many of the business areas, including she's into the hotel sector as well as into construction sector. So we had her. She's our elite and top, I would say, eminent guest today, and she made her points of reference of yes, and what we discussed today was, even a country as small as Bhutan need not only do hydropower, it can build 5 gigawatt of solar with 45 gigawatt of its potential hydropower to be exploited. But they can also enter pump storage, as I had an offline discussion with Khazanchi Saab. He said, why don't do pump storage? And which was my day one recommendation when I was making at REPA this pump storage report with Dr. Ramana Reddy's help, and integrating with CA and other agencies. Right? Now, after our report has come, while Andhra Pradesh was the leader, which did about 20-24 gigawatt and we had a special chief secretary of Andhra Pradesh, K. Vijayanand, leading the whole story there, right? And with Dr. Ramana Reddy. So, and then also the solar part of other people also doing good work, like Dr. Kamalakar Babu and Chakradhar Babu and all. Their officers are very good, So result is Andhra has retained the leadership. And today, Andhra is the state that we need to look at too. And this state could give a great example for the Baku leadership also, because the leadership of state in India has shown something different and what was happening. They didn't depend on only solar. They went ahead with pump storage. And 24 gigawatt of pump storage projects are already on the traction with, I would say, awards and DPR and awards in progress. So this is a big movement. Of the total 69 gigawatt identified by the Central Electricity Authority, almost 24 gigawatt plus are in traction in Andhra Pradesh, and another 20 gigawatt will be from other states. But the hard reality is Andhra itself has put up a potential on-river projects of 44 gigawatt as a potential they have identified. So this is almost like exactly out of the 100 gigawatt pump storage target that we had in our PSP's white paper, this would be about 40% plus. So that's a kind of I would say that the game changer that Andhra is trying to provide to the whole country on the pump storage area. And this could be also a part that Bhutan can exploit because they have rivers all around. Another area is Bhutan is more better positioned than us to make hydrogen, from the water sources, because they don't have saline water like us, and we have to go to seawater and all that. But for them, the real electrolysis situation exists. For India, I have a very different proposition, with Ramana Reddy finally said in the video, which needs to be integrated in coming. He endorsed my point of view, Dr. Ramana Reddy, and also others. Basically, I believe that wherever we do carbon capture, then that energy also needs to be considered as a green energy, because it is, when you say blue hydrogen, which comes from conventional sources, but actually you're doing carbon capture. So it's almost equivalent to the green hydrogen that you produce, and to break a CH4 at chain is much easier. And even it's I would say literally 1/10 or even lower in energy terms, in real energy terms, could be even 1/100th if technology progresses, but 1/10 is minimum, compared to breaking H2O, the water molecule, So it's easier to break the hydrogen, sequestrate the carbon out of the CH4 methane chain. So therefore comes our another white paper of 2021 done for Tarun Kapoor under his leadership when he was Petroleum Secretary, today is advisor to Honorable PM. So that time we did the Satat Plus report, where we talked about CBG, and we were expanding in that 10,000 plants, for 10,000 plants. So what has effectively happened, that these two items I have referred to Shripad Yesso Naik, the Honorable Minister, and he said he will take it forward. Now I'm coming back to what I want from this, or what we want as a forum from this, basically, and also to be considered in the world market. Because in the Immunomics book, I have mentioned this in a chapter, India, Middle East and Africa, potential for this. So India is definitely the leader there. So India has already produced 22 tons of compressed biogas after our white paper has come. That time, we were only having two plants, one in, this is the year 2020 odd. We had only one plant in Maharashtra operating for 10 years at Varananagar, which is under the Spectrum Renewable, and there was another plant of Spectrum in Rohtak, which used the membrane technology of Evonik, and that was producing 8 tons per day, and this was producing 4.5 tons per day. And now we have 22,000 tons of CBG produced in this country, and this could simply double in no time, and we would be having 500 plants over the next 2025 end. So that is a revolution that's happening for compressed biogas, because this is bio-CNG that goes into the automotive sector. But the potential is not alone there. Again, our 640,000 villages, we can, between two villages, we can deliver at least one plant of 5 tons per day. That is massive, because we would barely use 30% of this, and the balance can go to either exportation of hydrogen, because CBG to hydrogen is the path, or we can convert raw biogas without purifying and upgrading it. Without that cost, we can convert to electricity, which could be below 5 rupees a unit. So these are the game-changing potentials. Imagine hybridizing this with solar, which I talked about, 120 gigawatt, right? And we suppose hybridize this in power generation. So even the rural economy will not be 120 gigawatt, it will become double at 250 gigawatt of potential for us. So combine this with hydro and PSP project 200 gigawatt. You already have 400, 500 gigawatt right in these two areas. So if this is what the integrated renewable energy model, or the hybrid integrated renewable energy development model, HYRED, which when I put N, it is called National Hybrid Integrated Renewable Energy Development. If this is the potential, I think the world leadership has to look at what India is saying, what people like us are saying from this country, because this can change the game of the whole world, because we are talking about conversion of agro waste and animal husbandry waste to energy. We are talking of exploiting the solar energy. We are talking of exploiting the water power by not getting into only hydro, but actually doing pump storage. That is small quantum of water. For example, just a small quantity of water, which is about half a trillion cubic feet of water. If we bring that, we will deliver 1.68 gigawatt, like it has been demonstrated at Pinnapuram in Kurnool district of Andhra Pradesh. That is the first project of this kind, where 240 megawatt machines, which is reversible pump turbine generators, generate 240 megawatt. They work on pump mode, and then on the reverse side, and then the water that you have got is only one time. The lower reservoir and upper reservoir together in a loop, operating like nature's battery. natural battery of nature. It actually can be 50 years asset, literally. Just like hydropower plants are operating for 75 years, 100 years. The Itaipu is going on, the Bakra is going on. We have the Hoover Dam going on. So you can imagine the large quality of this asset that they go beyond 2-3 generations. So the advantage of pump storage will be similar, at least 50 years to 75 years. Only improvisation of the machines or retrofitting the technology back to operate. That's it. And then the evaporation of water is only 2% maximum. So basically you use one-time water storage, lower and upper reservoir, and then this runs in a loop. You pump it up in a pumped thing using renewable energy or using low-cost power, green energy, and then while coming back, it actually delivers power, which could be 3x to 5x and whatever dimension you want. It is a fantastic opportunity for not only India, but for the whole world. And this is the way we can bring peak energy quickly into grid, and we can avoid the challenges of battery energy storage systems, right? So because they can be only for short time or 4 hours, and they are mature only to that extent. But this is natural battery exploitable wherever water is there. India is three-side water. We cannot forget that. So this is it. And Bhutan is flowing in the Himalayan region. So they are another lovely country. They don't have the challenge of removing the salt or desalination, which we have to do when we use seawater. So these are the ways we can discuss and go forward. Many opportunities are available, but the big problem was, which I brought out today, was the financing aspects. What is happening? The current bilateral and multilateral institutional financing has not done justice, because now it is coming from directly the UN's report on UNCTAD report, which was released early 2024, and then mentioned by our own finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman that we have a viability gap funding worldwide of $4 trillion per annum, and this is expanded from the COP 21 of 2015, the Paris Accord, when we had a viability gap funding of $2.5 trillion. So if $2.5 trillion is viability gap funding that time, and now we have $4 trillion, you can imagine year by year the target that we have reduced. Even if we take the 2.5 as the background, then that means for each of those years, if this was the viability gap funding drawback, then in about 10 years we would be at least be down by 25 trillion of opportunity done. And in NPV terms, this is 5 times, 100 to 125 trillion worth of opportunity gone for us in net present value. Now this is not viable, and it is clear that the foreign direct investment, both REPA's figures were 600 billion to 650 billion max, and the UNCTAD has come up with a report that the FDI in the SDG economy and the renewable economy together was not more than $544 billion last last annum. So this type of investment is not going to work. So there are promises being made. And yesterday when they opened up, a small fund is opened up for only $1 billion as a pilot fund at the COP 29. So 29 meetings, and yet we are talking $1 billion. When the United Nations Council for Trade and Development has said the investment is peanut. So UNIPCC has to open its mouth. Its own body has brought out the truth, and we're still not committing. And what is the commitment? That is the three countries, that is India, China and America together, are only talking of $1 trillion of combined commitment, while the need is, the expectation is we'll go to 5 to 6 trillion over the next 2 years. But that may not happen, because what we are seeing, that the slowness and sluggishness of this whole system of bilateral multilateral financing is damn costly. An ADB loan of 5.6%, which is the Asian Development Bank or any other institution comes, it will only be added on. We have to add on the country risk and the loading on FIBOR, LIBOR and all that. Coming to institutional mechanism will end up with for a country like India, it is a very costly loan. We will be anywhere between 9.5% to 12% minimum for extending lending to the very critical SDG goal. And this is not going to be viable. We have got a fund which is just 2.2% direct ECB or loan or debt. And I've been a champion of ECBs long ago, when I brought into India 4,000 megawatt of captive power. And that time we had IKB as a German bank giving very similar kind of things, and we have practically funded in cement and steel plants, captive power plants. And these used to be 70% bias credit. So that bias credit used to be the ECB. So it's nothing new. But the only difference is it was given to the private sector through the IKB and Bank. These were the German banks that actually stood with India. So I'm only talking what has been done, what has been successful. So we have now brought a consortium like that between REPA, MARKENOMY Foundation, and GCCP, Global Capital Procurement Partners, our Canadian counterpart, North American counterpart. And this is 2.2%. And when it lands into India, even if you do hedging ranges between 0.5% to 2%. If we average it out, it's only 1.24%. So this kind of a debt can be below 4% also. So the upper limit is 5% with 2% upper limit of hedging. So that is the only risk that we have. So if we cover that risk, it is still cheaper than a bank finance or a bankroll finance or any other multilateral financing to governments also. So even governments will get cheaper funds from us if we can make a PPP or a debt model coming, which is the financing we are offering today. And this for billions of dollars. The fund is a $1 trillion fund, my friends, in the SDG, Sustainable Development Goal Mechanism. And this can go and power infrastructure as large as green ports, green airports, green cities, green mass housing schemes, green transportation. When I say green, it's powered by renewables, powered by green economy. That is what we are talking about. So it's not only limiting to the renewable energy domain. It will go all across. Even green tourism, if we are able to ensure that carbon footprints of the tourism are absolutely negligible, we can do wonders. So Bhutan's tourism and also our Kerala's tourism in India can really benefit from this kind of funding mechanism. So I have opened this Pandora's box in front of you, and I have spoken enough in detail today. And the challenge for COP is basically to ensure that when the global GDP is going towards a traction of $10 trillion right now, about a couple of $1 trillion have been lost unfortunately in the last year because of some economic lack of traction. But 10% of this should be our target per annum. That means every year we must spend $10 to $11 trillion to enable the SDG goals, the 17 goals of the world order under the UN discovered thing. And the COP29's big challenge is to ensure this happens, and funds like us are allowed and are actually pushed by them. Not only the bilateral funding, the private sector development financing or development financial institutions are key to the success of the world economy. It cannot be now left to the bilateral and multilateral mechanism to succeed. It needs a lot of private sector play, a lot of involvement of public-private partnership institutions, and that is the only way we can deliver. And we need to understand that financing is the master of the whole game. Providing for development in the right order. If we don't provide for enough, there is no scope of actually changing what is happening currently to the planet, because we will end up with a 4-degree rise, then looking at a 1.5-degree rise, right, and limiting it to that, to pre-industrial era. So the targets that are at the UN IPCC and under the United Nations Frameworks Convention for Climate Change, UNFCCC, both of them, if they want to meet their target, they should listen to people like us for sure, who are the critics of the system and yet the supporters of the future, that renewable energy, we are the champions of the renewable energy cause and the SDG cause. They have to also listen to UNCTAD, their other body, which has opened the eyes, saying that the investment is just peanuts. And committing on the day one at Baku for only 1 billion is a bit of a dampener for us. And that's why sending this message so that this video can go all across and people can, the world leaders and all of them out there must understand that they must put their money where their mouth is. Jai Hind and hail the world order. And I thank my friends of Bhutan who were there on the show, R.N. Khazanchi Saab from India, Om Phubzam of ARK Group from Bhutan, Dr. V.K. Garg, very senior man, an ex-regulator of India, ex-chairman of Power Finance, was with us for sure. K. Nand Kumar, a very good industrialist who's been more than four decades into green energy and these areas. He was with us, he joined us from Mumbai. Then we shortly had Dr. S. Ramana Reddy in the fag end. I know he also joined us, a dear friend and somebody who has followed the course that we told him, and the success has come through that. With all of them together and all the students of New Delhi Institute of Management and all under the REPA-NDIM Centre of Excellence in Renewable Energy, congratulations and thanks for attending. The professors who joined in and each one who was there today. It's a big initiative that we took, and I thank and my entire team here, including Mr. Tyagarajan was with me, and Parveen Kaur over there in New Delhi Institute of Management, and also a very big thanks to the chairman of New Delhi Institute of Management, Mr. Vishwamohan Bansal, that we could make this small effort today, and we will continue this effort further as we go along, not only in Baku, but we are having our ENERTIA 17th PRAKASHmay ENERTIA Awards 2024 will be held in Visakhapatnam this year. Vizag, it's a historical day, because all this while it was Delhi and Mumbai, and we're taking it all over there with New Delhi Institute of Management as a literally the associate partner already agreed, and the government of Andhra Pradesh as our partner. So you will see 31 awards and a huge discussion and the release of the document Powering the Future, a critique for CoP on COP 29, and with the theme Renewability Beyond Sustainability, and the two action forces that we have brought, which is PACE, positive actions towards climate equity, and positive actions towards climate transformation. And these two acts together, and to execute all of this, that is renewability beyond sustainability, and to bring pace and pact in action mode, we have a 5-point agenda at REPA, and that I would like to enlist here. The first one is mindfulness. So Bhutan, it's borrowed from the Bhutan's gross national happiness, and we in India, that is our foundation, adopts gross national happiness and harmony, and this was the book that brought that in, the Bhutan brandished. So gross national harmony, happiness is what I want. And the other book which I talked about is Immunomics, India, Middle East and Africa. So basically what we are effectively saying is the 5 M's have to be followed to execute these sustainable development goals, both investment and action plan, and bringing the populations of the world, the young youth of the world into action, into engagement. And that is, the first one is mindfulness. That is the Gelefu Mindfulness City in Bhutan is developed on this concept. And it's a great futuristic model that has come up thanks to the kings of Bhutan, the Honorable Duke Gyalpos, their majesties. They have done a great job. Now, the next M is called money, which is basically investment, which I talked about. Money. Basically, we are talking about alternative SDG investment financing. You can say ASDGIF. In normal parlance, we are talking of AIFs, but this is different, right? SDG-based financing. This is what we are talking about. The third aspect in this is material. And when I say material, it's an example is when nuclear power plant, which I talked about. Basically, when you do nuclear power plant with thorium, India has 33% thorium deposit. Then you are providing a material control to the economy. And then even if we import the nuclear reactor, we would be actually having the largest deposit, which is a non-carbon deposit, and producing clean energy through thorium nuclear. Just like our fast breeder reactor are an amazing thing that has happened. And they actually generate more fuel than what they consume. So this is the type of technologies that can be an example put across for this idea of material, because we need, countries like India need to have some control over the futuristic materials. And this could be also that sodium ion batteries or other battery technologies away from lithium comes in, then that can power our battery energy storage in a different way. But right now, lithium based is a challenge because disposal of lithium, disposal of all these elements, even in the automotive industry, is becoming a challenge. And predominantly, it's ending up consuming the thermal power from the grid because battery electric vehicles are charged at night. So these are the challenges that are there. And the battery energy storage system cannot operate more than 4 hours. So raw material control, when I say raw material control is what is very important. Then the fourth M, I said, I just flipped the fifth M to fourth, and that is men. When I say men is women, we men, we can say. So that is gender equity and gender equity based engagement and powering the future GDP through that for gross national happiness and harmony and happiness. So this is what the fifth men is all about. And last but not the least is machines. When I say machines, all of them, it's not physical machines. Earlier you need technology, you need dumpers, you need fuel. Tomorrow you see a dumper or any kind of earth moving equipment operating on clean fuel. So that gives an opportunity to go green, right? So this is an example of a simple example. Then integrating AI, you power a drone with renewable fuel and it goes up, or battery operated or whatever you do it, and then you are not actually spoiling the environment when you do. And on the other hand, you enable the rural economy. For example, we are using it to give ingredients to the soil in the farm community. So this is a great SDG example. So this is one example that can come into what I talked about as a sustainable development goal and renewable energy powered model. So that's the renewability beyond sustainability. So this comes into machines, and AI can be integrated. Any amount of digital and future economy can be integrated. It cannot be front loaded. It has to be an enabler in this, and we need the human enabling through AI, not the other way around. So with this, I close today's talk and today's talk of mine with a half an hour now. And Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and Tashi Dilek to my Bhutanese friends who enabled it today.